Hello, everybody. TGIF. Looking a bit like a Johnny Cash Friday. And we know what color Johnny Cash wore all the time, kind of a Black Friday. We'll see if they could turn it. S&P's under severe pressure. Looks like we're going to have another push up in the euro. Could be the third drive up here. I'd prefer to sell the pound on the third drive, but if we get up here, pound looks like a short on a third drive up here. Let me show you my charts. We have the legendary forecaster Martin Armstrong with us today. So this is what I'm looking for in the pound, maybe next week into the Fed. Looks like a short up here around the 52 range. And we're all monitoring the potential Canada top. Yesterday I said I didn't think this was it because of the confirmed high. We're now diverging, but I'm not ready yet. I don't think crude is there yet. Japanese yen under pressure again, trying to hold. Perhaps we could still correct A, B, C. This is A, this is B. Maybe we get a C. But a very negative week in US dollar yen and the market. Looks like Norm Winsky may have called the top of the S&Ps. We've now rolled over to the March contract. I think we're bouncing a little bit after I think we had the PPI and retail sales, and they took them off the lows a bit, but pretty negative looking action here, especially if we start taking out these lows. Looks like 1, 2, or A, B with C following into Christmas. Looking for down into Christmas. Let's take a quick look at the weekly. I think we have a two-week reversal. I think it was all the way up at 2088, so we're well beneath it. Let's see. We have a two-week reversal in the S&Ps, and we do. Here's your off number, was 2080. The week before, we closed right at the off number. This week, we're way under it. Looks like 1920 coming in the S&Ps. Those are my calls. The next one is yours. How's everyone doing, and who's in the house? Who's in the house? Sinatra, Iran, Bad, Cyric, Monir, Semi-Log is back, Izzy's in the house, Forex Crunch, Fame, Malcolm, JM, Adrian, welcome to LAR, Alexandros is going to buy me a euros after this crude bottom. Forex Pipper is here. Everyone doing okay? We'll see if gold could reverse. It's trying to put in a higher low, but the crude I'm still looking for down here into next week. Hi, buddy. Hi, Iz. So Izzy took my mentoring course. I want everyone to treat Izzy well. Hello, Monur. So I taught Izzy about 3 drives and RSI and off numbers, and he's going to be a very good trader. Tell the community what you thought about the course, Izzy. Hiya, Pipper. Glad to have you back. Adrian, how are you? JM, what's up? Bab, how are you? Cyric, what's new, buddy? Hi, Adinda. Hi, Yohei. Everyone doing okay? All right, so Izzy thought I was a decent coach. So I coach people in here too. And hi, Ziggy. How are you, my brother? So Izzy thought I was a very good coach. He's now going to master the RSI, Real Simple Implicator, and how to glean actionable ideas off of it. Hope I've been able to help others in here too. So we'll see if gold could hold here. You know, this could have been one ABC if we hold here and gold heads back up again. I'll be interviewing Martin Armstrong in a little over an hour. Who's looking forward to hearing Martin Armstrong? It's not easy to get an interview with Martin. He's a legend. We could thank Mauricio for lining up this interview today. Mauricio got Marty to come in. Frank who? Who's Frank? All I want for Christmas is a great Italian beef sandwich dipped with sweet peppers that I can't find out here in San Diego. So now you guys know what I want for Christmas. It's a great Italian beef sandwich with sweet peppers and dipped. I can't find that here in San Diego. Yeah, and it rallied back, right. You're a follower of Martin's? Okay. Yeah, so we talked about it yesterday. And we rallied halfway back on the end. So this was halfway back right here. Did you catch it? Oh, Frank Sinatra. Oh. And now, all right, I'll do a little Sinatra for you guys. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case of what I'm certain. I've lived a life on I've traveled each and every highway, oh, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. How's that, guys? My way. My way or the highway? How about that? Only it was usually the women who said that to me. So that was a pretty weak rally, a little ABC in the end, ABC halfway back, old support, new resistance, pretty classic. Everyone doing all right? Malcolm, how are you? You guys want trading ideas from me? Yesterday I said I thought that the Aussie could pull back again. Remember that? When the Aussie was up here, I said I still think we could make a move to 71 in the Aussie. We were up here, and I think Holly was talking about it. I said, well, also I talked about this with Izzy yesterday, that I thought Aussie could still break down towards 71. And that could be a real nice buying opportunity down there. See that? Talked about the Aussie here. Looking for 71 next week into the Fed. You want some more ideas? Have I given you guys some decent ideas this week? You should have booked the Euro Pound. Looking for a re-entry. That was here on the second drive. Okay. Maybe it's one of three, though. Yeah. Let's see the chart. So you're counting at 1, 2, 3, ABC 4, and 5. 5 down here. Hello, Abel. Am I reading your mind, Alexandros? How are you, Abel? Am I reading your mind correctly? Hello, Sebastian. Welcome to LAR. Everyone, welcome, Sebastian. Okay. MRC's back. Ed ZFX never texts me or says anything to me. 20 and a half. Okay. Thank you, Alexandros. So I'm certainly happy the week is ending here. Everyone doing okay? Everyone doing okay? Okay. When I looked at Aussie Kiwi, it looked like Aussie would be the weak one. That's why it was the preferred short, was the Aussie. But this looks good too. Who thinks Alexander's top shelf trader, analyst, and a great addition to our community? Give me a Y. Uses his clouds, real nice. If you agree with me, give me a Y. There's my Y. I know Sinatra follows your work all the time. Everyone doing all right? Trying to bring the market back a little bit. My mind's pretty focused on the crude and the gold. So we are diverging in the crude. I just don't think we're done yet. I think you are too, Cyric. Who really enjoys seeing Cyric's charts? I think his technical work, he shows harmonics. Very detailed technical analysis by Cyric. I think he's a great addition to the community. If you agree with me about Cyric, give me a Y. That's Halo Black. Here's my Y for Cyric. Yeah, I do. I don't know about gold. You know, it's not doing anything wrong. But I have, what bothers me about gold is I have some lines that converge in the gold all the way down here, right here. So this bothers me in gold. If we don't hold in here, I think we're going to under 1,000. So you see that, Alexandros? I have a couple of lines intersecting under a grand in the gold. So I'm a little bit more constructive on the oil than the gold. Does that help? Guys, give me a Y if you see these intersecting lines in the gold, a shade under 1,000. Of course, if we put in a higher low here, that's going to be very constructive, but the day isn't so constructive yet. And the weekly isn't so constructive yet, you know, not much follow through off the key reversal. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Sebastian. Glad you enjoyed. Glad you're enjoying your time here. This room isn't about me, it's about everybody. So feel free to participate, share your work with screenshots. Everyone doing all right? Everybody. Everybody. Say you need a new car. Why don't you hang out hustling Mar? You wanna buy a new house? Stay with us before you click your mouse. Say you want fame and be a star. All you gotta do is show your charts in LAR. Give me an L-A-R. LAR. LAR. Rock and roll forever. Rock and roll forever, guys. Okay. What is your TP? Okay. Oh, let's see it, sir. I'm not that sharp today. See, this is what I mean about Siric's charts. Look at all the detail on this. You're going to have to spend some time looking at this chart. He's got clouds. He's got everything in here. Thank you, Siric. Thanks, Siric, for his look. Oh. I think the market's getting worse. Where is that line, Sinatra? Where's the line? Look at the euro. What do we have here on the euro, guys? Tell me what you guys see in the euro here. Izzy, what do you see? Okay. Cool. Thank you, Siric. What do you guys see in the euro right here? What kind of formation is beginning to manifest? That's right. Second drive. That's right. So you cover your short here. So you cover your short. Right, Izzy? Yeah. That's right. Maybe. But good eye. What do we have here in the pound? What do you got here? It might only be the second drive. I thought this might be two, but we're diverging here in the pound, and we're diverging, and we're possibly on our way to a third drive in the euro here, up here. Yeah. Hi, Mystic. How are you? Dow's down 250. Black Friday. Maybe we're down 400 by the end of the day in the Dow, 400 or 500. That's right. So stick around for Marty Armstrong, about 40 minutes. So the gold should really, should hold here. I just, the dollar's coming off. Yeah, here's a blue candle here. So maybe gold does put in a higher low here. Crude still looks heavy. Now crude looks worse than gold. Crude looks worse. I'm just along the VIX right now. So in these kind of disorderly, in these kind of disorderly markets, you need to take this song to heart. Right, guys? Take it to heart. You know, you don't even have to trade like Mystic says until the dust settles. But if you are going to trade, you got to do this. Use less leverage when you trade the markets. Use wider stops so you don't get picked off by the black boxes and algos. If you don't use less leverage, you might lose your head and your account will be dead. Use less leverage. Use less leverage. Stick around and you'll see. Is there anything you want me to ask him? Anything you want me to ask him? So that's a tease. Stick around and see. Hi, semi-log gold. Hi, planet. Hi, Holly. So as we talked about yesterday, Holly, the potential of a 71 Aussie is looking there. You like that song, Mystic? That's true. You don't. No one's putting a gun to your head. If you have to, give your mouse to your wife and have her put it in the wall safe. Use max leverage when you trade the markets. Turn $10 into 10K. Use max leverage if you want to hit it out of the park. But the chances are you'll need Noah's Ark. So use max leverage and you might be able to play once or twice before all your equity goes away. Use max leverage. How you doing, chat? Use max leverage to turn $10 into 10K. You might get lucky, but most likely your money will go away. Everyone doing okay? How you doing, buddy? What's up, planet? So we'll see if the gold shares could move with equities being under pressure. Sometimes that pressure is gold shares too. We'll see. Also Canada, right, Holly? So maybe you'll learn to, maybe I can help you a bit and you'll pay attention to in Canada when I say I have a confirmed high. Yes, they are. That you need to wait for the confirmed high to be taken out. which now we've done. So I didn't think Canada was ready, mainly because of the crude, but also what I teach is when markets confirm price with momentum, that's rarely the high. There's a high probability when price and momentum confirms a new high that there's another high coming. You get it? Maybe something else to add to your toolkit, your trading toolkit. Don't short markets when they're confirming the high with momentum. Wait for them to begin to not confirm. Hey, Mystic, do you like that song by Van Morrison? Into the Mystic by Van Morrison? Great song. Into the Mystic. Van the Man. You like that song? Here comes the stock opening. Dow's down 195, S&P's down 20. Bonds are up sharply. Gold shares are down just a shade. Nothing to write home about. I'm looking at an ETF on oil that's down. WUTI. I don't know. Is it? Yeah, check it out. Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. You've heard of Van Morrison, right? Love his music. Can't play it on YouTube. Can't play music here anymore. Thank you, Planet. You mean about confirmed highs and momentum and confirmed lows and momentum? It took me a long time to learn that. It saved me a lot of money knowing that. So when you have confirmed highs or lows, you look to trade the retracement because you know there's another one coming. Correct? Izzy knows that now. Izzy actually paid to learn that. You want a refund, Izzy? Maybe he's gone. Yeah, it's pretty dull. Never sell a sleeping market, right? I don't like the candle. So remember I drew this line early in the week? I think that's a magnet, Holly. And I don't know what contract you're looking at, but I have a last of 37.66 on the CFD for WTI right now. Everyone doing all right? lot of our regulars starting to take some time off. Ricardo and Alien's daughter is better. Hello, John 573. Mauricio's in the house. He should be sleeping, but he's in the house. Forex Pipper, what are you doing? Fame, how are you? Aussie Cad scalped by Cyric. Let's see it. Looking for a rally. Back to the upside. Bullish ABCD. Thank you, Cyric. Nice look. Okay. So you're looking at the futures. I don't know what they base this CFD off of. Everyone thanks Cyric for that live trade call. Yeah. He uses harmonics. I really know very little about harmonics. I find them interesting because I'm a believer in the harmony and rhythm of the universe expressed in the markets. Everyone doing all right? Stand by for Martin Armstrong in a little over 30 minutes. Kramer looks a little nervous on CNBC. Booyah, Jim Kramer. Booyah, booyah. Booyah, buddy. I hope he thinks this is just a correction. CAD's still going. Second drive in yen. Third drive in the pound up here. Potential third drive to a top in the pound. Diverging on the 1 hour. It's stronger than the euro. At the minimum, if you're long cable, I'd be booking it. I'd be booking cable here. And it could turn out to be a decent short. I wouldn't do it here on a Friday. Maybe next week. It's a nice wedge in cable. There's your rising wedge in cable. Rising wedge. Sometimes you could blow through the wedge line. Then your signal's the next time back inside of it. Hello, Semi-Log. How are you enjoying your time in LAR? Mauricio's coming back from Japan. He'll be back in our sessions next week. Keeping an eye on me. Hiya, Jax. How are you, buddy? Everyone see this? Potential wedge in pound dollar. Give me Y if you see it. So far, we have at least one divergence here, right? See if it could stay in some kind of downtrend here. Oil's breaking the low. Well, okay. Didn't think it was ready yet. I'm looking for another 80 cents or so into next week. That's it. It's only all right. Come on, large better than all right. Large great. So don't worry though, semi-log. If you're ever unsatisfied, I'll wire your refund. Haven't had to do that too often, but always willing to. In my extremely accurate and humble opinion, I agree with Sinatra. Although I'm not objective. I've facilitated many trading rooms before. It's the greatest array of talent I've ever facilitated. Oh, he said he can't see where your A, B, C, D is starting on your chart. Sure. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, sir. You seeing that 2 in the pound up there? Oh, this is Aussie CAD. That was Aussie CAD. Okay. Really? It came up Aussie CAD. No, it isn't. Maybe the first one is. They're both Aussie CAD. Sorry, they're both coming up Aussie CAD to me, sir. Yeah, it's always tricky. Anyone want to answer, Sebastian? We can always get a correction. I think it's pretty bearish looking to me. Let me show Cyric's chart first, Sebastian. In fact, we had Nicola Duke who called the break in the end, right on time. Here's Siric's look at a possible high in the pound. Okay, he has it up against a trend line right in here. Thank you, buddy. What has me negative about the pound, guys, is this. Unlike the euro that diverged, the rally in the pound did not come off a divergence. What kind of low is this? What kind of low is that? And then I'll get to the yen. That's a 1 hour pound dollar chart. What kind of low is it? There's your 1 hour. And here's your 4. So maybe this will be an exception, but what kind of low is it? Here it was a divergence. Here was a confirmed low too. Pretty high Mo reading on the 15-minute. It's over 70. Shade over 70 here. Yes, it was. So maybe we're going to have a throw over on this. Sometimes you get throw overs. I talked about it. We could throw over the wedge line. If you're short on a throw over, it makes you throw up. I've been there. So how you treat a throw over is you let it go, and then the next time inside the wedge, it's a sale. And Sebastian's asking me about the yen. Yes, we have a divergence here. So I would expect a bounce and then maybe one more low. I think Alexander's looking for 2050. But when I look at it on a daily basis and then a weekly, the weekly especially looks pretty negative to me. It looks like a right shoulder. Everyone look at this now in the yen. I talked about that this could happen, although I was looking for a sale at 24 and we never got there. We got to 23.60. To me, it looks like it's rolling over. Right? So everyone see this? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. Look out, baby. So there'll be rallies along the way, Sebastian. But I think this is a very negative week in US dollar yen. I hope that helps. Let's take a look at Mystic is losing his hi, how you doing, Ricardo? Mystic's about to lose his virginity, his screen sharing virginity. He just lost it. You're no longer a screen share virgin, Mystic. You've lost your virginity. That's an interesting number. What is Swiss? Okay. And maybe a third drive too, right? 1, 2, 3. Thank you for your share, Mystic. That helps you, Sebastian? Yeah. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Mystic. Thank you, Cyric. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to take a quick break for about 5 minutes, everyone. While I'm away from my desk, everyone could continue to share their views with each other, because this community is not about me. It's about everyone in here. So I should be able to walk away and you guys should be able to continue to collaborate. So I'll be back in 5. Thank you, Adinda. And then on deck. Rick's got some looks. Here's again. Okay. Got your target. I think it's going a lot lower than this. Thank you, Rick. And your S&P short. Nice saying, Luimo. Looking for 1980. Okay. From here to here. 60, 28, 1980. Thank you, Rick. I want to thank Ricardo for his look on the yen and his targets in the S&P. Hi, Armand. How are you, Armand? Okay. So would that be commensurate with like a 112 euro? So far, the pound is respecting that line. Pound is respecting it. Hi, Andy. Nice to meet you. Canada hit it too. You were looking for 7.5. I just don't think crude is done yet. We're getting close, though. You're short at 715. Thank you, Armand. Everyone, thank Armand. Cyric's update on the pound kind of lines up with what I was saying earlier. It's respecting that wedge line. Yeah, getting a little tail on Cyric's work. Stand by for Marty. He should be here in about 10 minutes is my guess. Please to give me a heads up before you send the link, so I'm ready when they get here. Thank you, Cyric. Okay, I'm sorry I don't remember, but great to have you back then, Andy. Great to have you back. Don't fade Armand. Yeah, that was a nice one. That was your second entry. I remember you saying you went back in down here. Right here. I think I was showing this to Izzy yesterday too. Got a nice pop. So you had a great week. See you, Alexandros. Take it easy, buddy. So the euro couldn't quite get to the third drive line. The pound did. I think the pound's going to take out 49.50 because this is a rising wedge. I was talking to Iz about it yesterday. Rising wedge. Once it breaks the wedge line, potential for 100% retracement is there. 3 drives and a confirmed low. So I have lots of reasons to think that the pound could take out this low. Give me why if you understand the 3 reasons. Confirm low, 3 drives, implications of a rising wedge. They're all bearish. They're all bearish. 3 reasons. 3 is better than 1. Confluence of a bias. Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying do it today. I'm not even saying to do it. We're all captains of our own ship. I'm not advising anyone to do trades. I'm just sharing what I see. And I'm bearish $1.02, looking for the Dixie to go to about 94. But there could be better dollar strength to sell into. Into the Fed. In my humble opinion. And it's with the greatest of pride that I'd like to announce how humble I've become. Okay. I'm going to be alert. Stand by for Martin Armstrong. Standing by for Martin Armstrong. from Armstrong Economics, the forecasting legend. Get your pencils out. Get your pencil and paper out. There should be some pearls here today. I will admit I'm a fan. Everyone doing okay? Armand's got a little lead on his Canada short here. Nice shot, Armand. Canada coming off. Aussie's trying to turn. Holly's right. Crude's not there yet. Gold did turn. Stand by, everyone, for the interview of the month. Martin Armstrong, legendary forecaster, Armstrong economic model. Predicted a lot of major things that have happened in the markets over the last few decades. We'll see what Marty's thinking now. Stand by. Nice call, Holly, on the pop and the gold. And Aussie. I'm conflicted about the gold. Cat's not ready yet. Pound's coming off. Euro's weaker. How are my trading warrior brothers and sisters doing on this fine Friday, Black Friday, Johnny Cash Friday? I was thrown into a ring of fire, and it burned, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burned, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Because she's mine, I walk the line. Because she's mine, I walk the line. Johnny Cash Friday. Hope everyone's having a good Johnny Cash Friday. Johnny's favorite color was black, although we're seeing red on the screens. We'll see if Who wants to go home long the market on a Friday? I don't think too many will. We'll see. Okay, Andy. You're welcome. You're very welcome, Andy. Could be, Rick. There's drive 2 in the end. Diverging. There's our first divergence in the end. So you cover your shorts here. We now have the divergence. It's a 1 hour yen. Should get a rally and maybe one more shot down. Everyone see that? Izzy, I hope you book profits down there. So we knew we were going to have another low in the yen because it was confirmed. We got another low and it diverged. Drive 2. Drive 2, everyone. 2/3 of the way complete. Maybe the Fed is not going to tighten Wednesday because of what the market's doing into the Fed. We'll see. I think it would have been a lock if we had been at 21.20 that the Fed would have gone. But we'll see where we're at by next Wednesday. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Because she's mine, I walk the line. Johnny Cash Friday. So Johnny Cash Friday, guys. Yeah, I'm waiting for Marty. Yeah. Maybe. What do I call the RSI? It's called Relative Strength Index, and I don't know why. It should be called Real Simple Implicator because of what it implies. And if you pay very close attention, I've told you all the whys. Because confirm highs with momentum is rarely a top. So wait for two divergences before you scalp it for a top. The same goes for bottoms. You're looking for RSI to imply momentum's waning. Then you know it might be a buy. RSI, RSI, real simple implicator. That's a real simple implicator song. Has anyone ever heard that before? Don't call yourself a newbie. How about this, DZ Vista? Welcome to our community. 3 is a number of completion. I don't insist on it. I've seen 2s. But 3 is a number of completion. 3 strikes, you're out, DZ. The 3rd time's a charm, DZ. 3 goals in hockey is a hat trick. Earth just happens to be the 3rd planet from the sun. And if you want to get spiritual, it's not the holy duality, it's the holy trinity. 3 once more on all different planes, socially, scientifically. But I do not insist on it. Why do you think I insist? I believe in it, but I don't insist on it. Great. Hi, Marty. Can you hear me? Hello, Marty.
Hello.
Oh, Marty, how are you today? How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
What a great day to have you on, Marty. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us in the live analysis room on FX Street. Every time I see events happening, unfolding in front of me, I keep thinking about your October 1st date. And it'd be great if I could get an update from you based upon your belief from your model that we're entering sovereign debt crises. Are you seeing things that are confirming your view since we last talked and you were showing that great movie, The Forecaster?
Yeah, I mean, everything's still moving in place. You've got, I mean, look at everything that's happened. You've had, Cantalona moved to separate from Spain. You have got Spanish elections December 20th that look like might overthrow the government. It's pretty much everywhere. I mean, you got Trump leading in the polls. The Republicans are threatening to put in their own candidate, regardless of what the people say. I mean, it's total chaos.
Marty, I was going to get to this at the end of the interview because I want to talk to Marcus, but since we're there, what I'm seeing is it reminds me a lot of the 30s where you have the rise of ultra right-wing nationalistic type leaders. It just happened in France, the other countries you talked about. And what's surprising to me is what's happening in Poland, because they were the economic miracle of the former Eastern Bloc of the Soviet Union. And they have all kinds of right-wing nationalistic leaders right now that are getting very draconian. Is this part of the movement towards extremes on the right and extremes on the left? Although I'm seeing more towards the right than towards the left.
Well, eventually the left and the right meet.
Okay.
Because they end up agreeing on one thing. It's always somebody else's problem, you know. So,
okay.
But during the Great Depression, that's basically what you saw. You know, protectionism. I mean, that was all very nationalistic movements that you saw back then too.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why. Plus scapegoatism, anti-immigration, all of these things seem to be rhyming with the 30s, don't they?
Yes, it's standard operational procedure. I mean, 1933, yes, you had FDR elected in the States. You also had Hitler and you also had Mao. So
right.
1 year was quite a watershed politically across the globe. So we're seeing the same thing, and this is what our war cycle, what I've been warning about. I mean, we simply put in all the data from, I mean, going back, largely 3,000 years. And you say, okay, fine. What's the correlation? And it's very simple. And it does make logic. I mean, and what I've said many times is that nobody goes to war when they're fat and happy.
So
turn the economy down, and then everything falls apart.
Well, then Shakespeare must have been around during one of those time frames, because wasn't it he who said when the coffers are full, the people want democracy, and where they're empty, they cry for a strongman dictator?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, his famous quote, "The first thing we do is kill all the lawyers," is also relevant, but people have to understand what did lawyers mean back then. If you were a private citizen, you could not hire a lawyer. The only people that had lawyers were the king. So the proper term today would have been prosecutors. They were going after everybody for money, which is exactly what's happening again. And so that was a tax rebellion that he was writing about. And when it says the first thing we do is we kill the lawyers, it was basically the government prosecutors who were taking people's houses to pay taxes.
Okay. So if I'm correct, your progression is Europe first, Japan second, the U.S. third. Also, I know that you were a big proponent, and that's why I'm glad I have you here, of that the dollar was going to win by default. And I have a lot of people that follow you, Marty, and you said 110.50 was a very important pivot for the euro, and we've recently recovered back to it on Draghi disappointing the market. Plus, it was a very one-way trade. You couldn't find anyone that thought the euro could rally even 100, 200 pips a few weeks ago. So is there an interruption in this trend in the dollar? And would closing back above 110.50 change the picture, short to intermediate term?
No, not really. I mean, that's basically a weekly number, so we'd really have to at least close above, actually it's 110, about 98 or so, I think. But this is only a short-term thing, and it's also indicative of our problem. Liquidity has just absolutely been collapsing. And you have the main reason the euro could rally is that a lot of the banks are just telling you have to have no positions. That's it. So you're finding things much more illiquid today than they were ever before. I mean, just look at the bonds.
Yes, I remember.
I mean, you could sell thousands of bonds, no problem. Today you can't.
Even in the U.S. Treasury futures bond pit now, Marty, I remember, they traded in 64ths and 30 seconds, and now the spreads have really widened on Treasuries as well, and that was the deepest market we had.
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold. One is retail participation is still at about 50% of 2007 levels. So the average person is the bulk of the people are still sitting there in cash. Then you have a lot of the banks that that they have gone after, fined them for LIBOR scandals, all these different things.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of the banks have pulled back. Plus, you have particularly a lot of the big former trader banks like Deutsche Bank, etc., that used to be very huge in the markets. They've lost so much money. I mean, they're pulling back. So UBS. I mean, so the amount of people actually trading is shrinking dramatically. And as that happens, this type of volatility is going to become, commonplace.
Greater.
And I've been warning that we're in a bull market in volatility, and that means a decline in liquidity. So you can see things going up 400 pips, and it doesn't change the trend.
Interesting. And I know that based upon your October date, you still have some very bullish long-term targets in the S&Ps. And I know that you were back in September, October, you were looking for a turning point. I guess the million-dollar question is, were those the lows for your parabolic targets that you have down the road into 2017? Or could we flush out the bulls one more time under 1830 before we get that launch in the market towards those? I think you're talking 22,000, 24,000 down.
It seems as though the August lows are probably it. I mean, even the DAX bottomed right on the day of that model, which was very interesting. But what I've also been warning is that, it's not quite ready for prime time. So we've been running back up to the highs, you crash back down. It's just churning a lot because people are confused. They don't know what's going on. But I can tell you as a trader, I mean, if this is the major high, the gods of Wall Street don't give you 10 times to sell the high,
That's a
They give
great
you one
point.
shot. That's it.
That's a great point. So, because you've had so many multiple opportunities to get short S&Ps at 2100. So that's a great point. It shouldn't be that easy that you could think about it and have missed it and be able to do it again in 6 months. That's a
Yeah, I
pearl.
mean, it's almost every other month practically. But I mean, so far, I
let
would
me ask
say
you
our
this.
computer's been pretty good. It said called for the high in May. That's held. It called for a low in August. I don't see this thing really taking off, and probably until after the first quarter next year. Then I think you're going to see everybody start to realize that, hey, we got a problem.
Okay, well, could that be reflation?
Everywhere. United States in 16, you have 17 in France. You have Merkel having to stand up for election. I mean, the political landscape is going to change quite dramatically over the next 2 years.
Does Trump have a shot, Marty?
Pardon me?
Does Donald Trump have a shot to become the next U.S. president?
Actually, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Surprisingly enough, the one thing that you talk to a lot of people about here in the States, and I mean, I've spoken to people that were diehard Democrats, and the one thing they come back and say is, well, at least they know he's not owned by somebody else. They maybe don't agree with everything he says, but I will say this much in my experience. While I would rather see Donald Trump than somebody else, every career politician I've ever met, once they say something, they will never change their mind. They're never going to stand up and say it was a mistake.
Well, then they ought to read what W.D. Marty, don't you think they should take to heart what W.D. Gans said? If you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left. As traders, we have to, but politicians don't, do they?
Right. I mean, a trader can't say, no, I'm right, and as it's going down 90% against you. Politicians, they just simply will refuse to ever admit that they're wrong. So Obama came out and said, Assad's got to go. That will be it until he's done. He will not change his mind. Merkel's not going to come out and say, gee, letting in all of the refugees was a mistake. Or designing the euro and not consolidating the debts. Gee, yeah, we really screwed up. It's just not going to ever happen.
It takes a crisis for things to unwind and change with them, doesn't it? The whole plan to fall apart.
I think that's what the revolutionary cycle is all about, because these people will never admit a mistake. I think if they think they do, then they can't be reelected.
Okay. You know, Marty, a major center of discussion has been the deflationary trends. I know part of it's the dollar pressuring a lot of commodity markets because it is a reserve currency. It makes everything a little bit more expensive. The crude oil market, a lot of people are starting to talk 20. I've even heard a $10 number. To me, this sentiment's pretty extreme down here, and what's happening with Russia. Making their move into Syria, and now it being possibly politically okay to blow up oil infrastructure in Iraq to prevent ISIS from getting it. Don't you think that the crude oil market is becoming a little bit stretched to the downside, and that there might be a surprise the other way, at least short term?
It's kind of hard to say you're ever. I don't see it going back to new highs. I mean, our model has been warning that $35 is the big number for year end, as far as if you close below that on December 31st, that would confirm that the major high will not be exceeded.
Okay.
If we close below 41 and a quarter, pardon me?
I'm just thinking maybe a reflex rally. Maybe back into the mid 40s to 50 range from here, and that $35 number is an interesting number. I have some things there too, but do you think eventually we're going to be trading 20 with a 20 handle in crude next year, or the year after?
Well, if we close below 35, yes, that does definitely become a possibility. But you also have to keep in mind that the way commodities tend to move, they also short, sweet, and to the point. So, right. I mean, even the Great Depression, it was 1929 high, and the lows July 1932. So we're not talking about extreme, long, protracted type things. When you get into that, it's usually government manipulation, like Japan. But the bulk of the decline is usually still the first 2 to 3 years from a major turn. So in oil, our minimum number is 41 and a quarter. If you close below that, that says definitely you're in a corrective mode. Sure, you can go back even to $45, $50 range as a knee-jerk reaction, because we have very high volatility these days. But the 35 is saying it's a long-term bear market. So that's largely the distinction. And, I mean, you can see it in many different ways. For example, technology. BMW's, come out with like an i8 that is a hybrid and sports car, and it has 28 miles a gallon when you use the gasoline and 78 when you use the electric. I mean, it's amazing.
Right. So things are changing.
When I was up in Amsterdam, all the taxis were driving Teslas. So, I mean, there is a long-term shift as far as the requirement for energy is going to definitely change. And in Florida, the state has lost so much money from electricity production, they're looking at putting a tax on people who have solar panels on their roof.
So they want to take it away from them now too.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like the cigarette tax. They stand up and say, oh, we're doing it for society. And then when they lose the taxation, they say, well, we'll tax the electric cigarettes too, Right. It's always about money.
Everything. So getting back to the sovereign debt crisis, are you starting to see any cracks in the U.S. Treasury market? I follow TLT as a proxy. We haven't made new highs there. Could that be setting up for an April time zone? I'm hearing a lot about April for a lot of different cycles if the market moves sideways.
I definitely think that you'll have some money that will go into the Treasury side. All right, and the rest of it you have basically. Hold on 1 second. I just got to turn that one off.
I think it's Santa Claus calling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. But mainly, I think it's looking at a lot of money has to shift into the dollar out of just about everything, because there's nothing that they haven't been able to create any kind of a reserve currency. Sure, they put in the the yuan into the SDR, but that's irrelevant. That's like a pretend reserve currency. To be a reserve currency, you have to have some place that you can put billions of dollars into, and the SDR may be an index, but that's it. It's not. You still have to buy the underlying.
Do you think
So
there's
China
any?
being put into it, I think you're going to see China will smarten up and realize they're going to have to float the yuan in order for it to be a real viable currency. But also because they're at this point, you have politicians standing up and saying, oh, China's manipulating its currency. Well, they don't say that about the euro. They don't say it about anything else because they're free markets. So let it float, and then they can't say that about China either.
Interesting. I saw your discussion when you were in Greece, and people in the audience were asking you if Greece should exit the euro, and you said yes. And it makes me think about emerging market economies priced in commodities, and even the Saudis being linked to the dollar. Is it possible that some of these currencies, like the real, could depeg from the dollar, and could that change the dynamic?
Most of them will end up having to eliminate the pegs. In order to get the political change, and I think mainly for Europeans tend to look at currency differently than Americans, and largely because after World War II, the politicians said, vote for me, see how high the currency is now against the dollar. So it was more of a rallying point politically. An American politician can never stand up and say, vote for me because the dollar's up against the Mexican peso. They would just laugh. So it's a different mindset from Europe to America. Europe sees the currency more as a stock, whereas the United States doesn't look at it that way. They were actually trying to push the dollar down in '85, creating the G5.
Right, the Plaza Accord.
Right. So I think that you have to understand that the dollar in going up is not bullish. That's what's going to create the political change. It's not going to change without it going up dramatically. And so by going up dramatically, then you'll create the same thing like in the 30s, the protectionism, and eventually then you'll see some sort of monetary system crash. And then what comes afterward is perhaps some sort of a basket of currencies that forms the reserve or something like that.
Okay. I've read that the devaluing yuan, which has been happening in a fairly big way in the last few weeks, especially since the SDR announcement, is actually more unsettling for the global financial markets than a potential Fed rate hike next week. What's your view on the yuan devaluing?
Well, largely because people don't understand what's going on. China shut down most of the shadow banking because so much money was pouring out. It's almost impossible now to get money out of China. And I mean, this was part of the big problem. And the statistics that people look at, they didn't really understand what they were looking at all. And they're saying, oh, initially that China's trade deficit didn't have it. It was making a huge surplus. That was largely Chinese companies with the right to deal overseas. They were borrowing money in Hong Kong, bringing the cash back and speculating. So they only, the trade numbers were they don't actually measure goods. They just measure capital flows. So everybody was assuming
they were coming over here with suitcases of cash, Marty, to buy U.S. real estate and every other service. So,
absolutely.
They didn't care about the price. It was a hedge for them, right?
The Chinese replaced the Japanese, where the Japanese used to buy Rockefeller Center and stuff like that. The Chinese buy all the high-end properties now.
Okay. Well, I
Canadians
wouldn't
are
want to
the
be.
ones who buy the greatest number of American properties, but it's the Chinese that buy the big ticket items.
Okay, well, I wouldn't want to be Japanese right now if the tables are turned, because China probably has a pretty long memory about what the Japanese did to them in World War II. What do you think about that?
Oh,
And
yes.
the building of the islands in the South China Sea.
Well, I can tell you throughout most of Asia, I mean, when I was in Beijing, I just asked the concierge, I said, is there a Japanese restaurant nearby? And it looked like I was a traitor.
Oh, God.
You can't
Yeah.
find them. You have to go down little back alleys. So it's still a very dirty word over there. The
Okay.
same thing in Singapore. Thai food, no problem, but ask for a Japanese restaurant and they just give you a very nasty look.
So where's the flare-up going to be, Marty, on your geopolitical cycles? We have all these different hot spots. What's your best guess for what might turn into bravado, turning into some type of shooting war?
Well, on the international level, I mean, that's basically the two focal points are clearly the Middle East. Putin
Right.
started bombing exactly on the day of the model, which was very
Interesting.
interesting. And that's usually a serious warning when something happens to the day.
I think you put out a post that was the beginning of World War III.
I believe it probably is, yes.
Okay.
And it
I
just
know you
keeps getting
probably don't
worse
want
and
to
worse.
talk about that because, it's Christmas time and we should be full of good cheer, but it sure is hard to watch the news without thinking that there's something big brewing.
It's clearly brewing. I mean, Turkey shooting down a Russian plane, that was really stupid. Um, but you're seeing the same thing in the hostilities in Asia between China and Japan. I mean, those are the two international hotspots. But everywhere else you're looking at is quite frankly the other side. We have two models that are converging at the same time, which is very unusual. And the other one is the civil unrest. So we have
Wow.
that happening everywhere. Um, just yesterday, a film crew from Madrid flew all the way here for an interview, and because they have the political elections on December 20th, and I was really surprised. I mean, I was down in Barcelona, so I thought it was a crew that requested to come in from Barcelona, and here it was Madrid. It was the national elections for national TV. Unless you're coming here to interview me, so I was a little bit surprised about that, but it is clearly it's everywhere. Scotland wanting to leave UK having to do a vote on the EU. I mean, 40% of the French youth want to be something other than French. Bavaria, they consider themselves Bavarians first before Germans. I mean, it's everywhere.
So, Marty, I'm
Um,
sure you get this question from a lot of your subscribers and probably friends and associates with what you see happening on the world scene. They probably ask you, Marty, where can I go to not be part of this and watch it on TV instead of being caught in the middle of it? What do you tell them?
well, I have responded with that answer, and people from that area told me, please don't say it anymore.
Oh, they don't want any more people to go there. I know some of the gloom and doom guys are like Latin America. They like South America, low density population areas.
Very
So,
politically unstable. Um,
okay.
there are very few places down there that you can be secure with. And I mean, the two places that our model has been showing, believe it or not, are the South Island of New Zealand and the upper reaches of Scotland.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Marty. I want to wrap it with this. The question that's been burning for over 2 years. Will Janet Yellen move Wednesday?
I haven't actually looked at our model to see if she will do it Wednesday, but she was going to do it in June. And
Yeah.
that's when the IMF came out publicly and
Told
it
her
started
not
appearing
to.
in newspapers.
Right.
You don't do that. It's for them to do that meant that they had to put pressure on her because she disagreed. In September, I have I got a call from somebody down there that told me that again they called and said, please don't do this because if you do it, you'll push Deutsche Bank over into bankruptcy. So what the excuse is going to be this time, I'm not sure, but she has a huge problem, and that is the problem with all the pension funds. You
Yes.
have to get money, you have to get interest rates back up. I mean, lowering them to negative rates creates the deflation. These people don't look at both sides of the coin. They're just saying, well, gee, if we really lower it, maybe somebody will start to borrow. Okay, fine, but what about all the people with you told to save
The
for
savers.
retirement? Now they get nothing,
Yes.
and you're
Yes.
taxing them for even doing so.
So we're going to
So
have major
politicians,
we're,
they just look at one side of the coin all the time.
so we're going to have major problems with unfunded pension liabilities that have been growing because it's hard to get a return now, and that people that are counting on their retirements might be in for a rude awakening down the road from their
Particularly
401ks.
I mean, look at Illinois. They couldn't even pay the lottery holders. Um, New
Oh, I didn't
Jersey.
know
I
that.
mean, all these places. I mean, the state pension funds are the worst because they don't have to follow the laws. They don't have to fund things, and nobody's going to lock them up. If you or I did that running a company and said, I promised you all kinds of stuff, but then I really didn't do it, that's called fraud.
Marty, thank you so much for updating us on your views, and I wish you and your family a great holiday season. Stay safe and continue to do the great work and keep the world informed, because at times, you know, Marty, I wish I was an ostrich and I didn't know what I know, and I could just go and run up my credit cards this Christmas. But thank you for being a voice of reason in a Meshuggah world.
Well, thank you, and happy holidays to you too. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure.
I hope that we could visit again in the near future, Marty. Thank you for your time, most of all, today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
All right, Marty. Good hunting,
Goodbye.
my trading warrior brother. See ya. I
Okay.
hope everyone enjoyed. That's Martin Armstrong at Armstrong Economics. Marty has a great newsletter. He's one of the greater minds in the world. Being able to see things, his model, as he said, goes back eons, and it's amazing the accuracy that he's been able to pinpoint certain important major impact events in both markets and the globe. Everyone say thank you to Marty. They all loved you, Marty. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Did you guys like that? Give me a Y if you liked it. Give me a Y if you liked it. I had fun. Here's my Y. Did I cover everything? Did I ask enough questions? Atlantis, Cyric says. Atlantis. You need some scuba gear for that, Cyric. You need some scuba gear for that, buddy. Mauricio, did I get your questions answered? Fab, did I get your answers? Armand? Mystic? Sebastian? All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for their collaboration and sharing their great work. I had a great week hanging out with everyone. So here's my wrap up. Looks to me like Euro USD is possibly setting up some type of high for a third drive. believe that's going to happen in the pound as well. We should get some type of reflex rally in the Japanese yen after a bounce and maybe a third drive. I'm very keyed in on, it's interesting that Martin had a $35 number in the crude oil market, same as Ricardo Dinger. So Ricardo and Martin Armstrong, Rick, you and Marty have the same number in crude. He has 35 by the end of the month. I forgot to ask about gold, but I assume his belief is continued deflation with a stronger dollar and lower energy prices. Yes, when will the cup? They had to do it this year, Maury. They had to do it this year. Okay, because 3 is a number of completion, DZ. Mauricio, will you post the link up for DZ Vista? I think he wants to learn my third drive technique. And with that, I'm going to thank everyone individually. I want to thank Mauricio for lining up the interview today with Martin. Thank you for doing that, Mauricio. You know, I hope I wasn't too much of a fan and asked him some hard questions, some good questions. So thank you again, Mauricio, for lining up that interview. Everyone thank Mauricio for lining up the interview with Martin. I can't get him myself. I want to thank Adinda for being the producer of LAR and all the great programming on the channel that Mauricio so hard is working to turn into something fantastic for you with guys like Yohei and everyone else. Izzy took the course. He's watching your paper. Thank you, Cyric, Forex Pipper, Fame. Thank you for always being supportive of me. Holly, glad to have you as part of our community. Sinatra, remember, do it my way. Fab, Sebastian, nice to meet you. Forex Stop Hunter, good job this week. Mystic, nice to meet you. Ron, great to see your handle. Limo, I love you, buddy. Semi-Log, welcome to LAR Planet. Good hunting, buddy. MRC, Ziggy, my brother. Have a great weekend, everyone. Jax, have a great weekend. If you like what LAR is doing for you, the way to say thank you is to establish an account with FX Pro. If you're a non-US resident, establish an account with FX Pro and tell them Dale sent you. Have a great weekend, everyone. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and remember this. If you need a new car, you need to hang out in LAR. Say you rent and want to buy a house, be with us before you click your mouse. And say you want to be a star, all you have to do is show your charts in LAR. L A R LAR, 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 LAR. And we'll have the panel with FX Superstars next week. Register for that as well. I'll see everyone Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Adios.